This weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
And here comes the Kiwi. Aegon went straight through the centre, and Aegon makes it 5 out of 5.
It's funny when you walk down the same street. Now I see the buildings sky high. More life, more trouble. But a man can't try. Step in the same circles which you once called home. Searching for something in common. Don't tell me love's all gone. Right and left, black and white. War of sexes. Who's wrong, who's right? Corporation, gentrification.
What a weekend for the Kiwis. So much to celebrate on Saturday after our achievements across the Tasman. And I think everybody very proud to be involved in the New Zealand racing industry. So much to get through. Of course, we missed last week's show, Michael, so we've got a lot to cram into this hour this evening.
Wasn't it magic, Emma? It was fun, and I think for most people who watch this, yes, racing can be a business as well, but it's got to be fun. And that was really fun stuff on Saturday night. 1 hour between 5:35 and 6:35. Great for the industry, but perhaps even more exciting than what actually happened is the promise of things to come. I mean, Probabeel's now the favourite for what would be the richest ever victory by a New Zealand trained horse anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal, the All-Star Mile in 3 weeks' time. And Aegon is favourite for a Doncaster and a Derby, which is incredibly rarefied here. So tonight we're going to hear from both the men behind those horses, Andrew Forsman and Jamie Richards, and ask them about that, and also their successes and plans for the Ellerslie Carnival ahead. So you're right, it's a pretty busy time here.
Yeah, well, we better crack straight into it and start with those two stars from across the Tasman. In alphabetical order, we'll kick things off with Aegon taking out the Hobartville on Saturday at Rosehill.
Together, coming around the turn from Prime Star, Easy Campeasy, North Pacific's pulling out, and two further back to Aegon, revved up between runners. It's Pelser scraping paint at the 300, trying to beat off Prime Star. Aegon's going for a run between them, and North Pacific to the outside. Pelser's under siege, and here comes the Kiwi. Aegon went straight through the centre and charged to the lead now in the Hobartville Stakes, and Aegon makes it 5 out of 5. Went on to beat North Pacific, Prime Star.
It was a very easy watch, wasn't it? He was maybe underrated initially in those markets across the Tasman, and it was really good to see our New Zealand opinion validated over there with him beating some of those star 3-year-olds. And he announced himself on the scene and really said, I'm here and I'm here for a big autumn.
Remarkably, it's the easiest win of his career. He's a horse who doesn't tend to win by big margins. I know Andrew and Murray have had to plot an unusual course with him, so he's probably very rarely been totally screwed down race fit for a race. Missed the start a little bit, and there was a little bit of a worry, but the way he won that, there's so many options heading forward. Andrew is going to join us, your old boss or old co-boss. And Andrew, congratulations, mate. It must have been incredibly exciting for you on Saturday. I know that you and Murray together obviously have trained many winners in Australia for other people, but it's different when you also own a share in them.
Yeah, thanks guys. It was very special obviously, but any win in Australia is hard to come by, so it's a massive thrill and great to be involved with some great people racing him.
Andrew, the thing for me that's so remarkable, yes, he's unbeaten, but what he's done to remain unbeaten. He's won a Group 1, he's won at a Mile Fresh and a Karaka Million, and then to take that across the Tasman. You must just be so proud of what you've achieved through training him and seeing him then validate that on the track.
Yeah, you're right, Emily. There haven't been too many easy kills along the way, so he's had to do it the hard way, and particularly through the spring, he obviously didn't do very well. He was struggling, he was growing at the same time as we were trying to obviously race him, and to his credit, I think just ability kicked in and he got the job done, and I think we're just starting to see the best of him now this time around.
Andrew, obviously he's across the Tasman at the moment, but you know him as well as anybody working with him every day. The thing that stands out to me is his attitude. He wants to be a racehorse, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a very quiet horse, and you get a saddle on him even at home and track work. He jig jogs onto the track and jig jogs all the way home, but he's professional when he does do his work. And obviously, that is always a sign of a good horse. I think when the job's on, they know what they have to do, and when he gets into a race situation, he just switches off, drops a bit, and spends no extra work. So I think that's signs of a good horse. And think back to all the good horses we've had when race day comes around, they just stand up and are counted.
Mate, you have two very distinct paths. I presume both of them go through the Randwick Guineas, so I presume he heads there next. Where would you rather go? Would you rather go Rosehill Guineas on to the Derby, or at this very early stage, do you see you going Randwick Guineas and on to a Doncaster?
Don't really know. I guess deep down you'd love to see how he goes over ground. So that's obviously the Rosehill Guineas would give you a little bit of an indication as to whether he can get over a trip. Because if we don't go beyond a mile this time around, maybe we'll never get the opportunity. So, but deep down, I think maybe we go to the Rosehill Guineas beyond the Randwick Guineas, and then that will tell us, if he does have those staying qualities or can take that brilliance to a trip like Dundee did. I'm not saying he's as good as Dundee, but he relaxes well in his races, and maybe he could have that really sharp turn of foot at the end of a bit of a staying trip.
What about the Doncaster though, lightweight? Is it a case that if you go to the Rosehill Guineas, it would be difficult to get him back to 1600 for a Doncaster, or can you do that as well?
Could do. Like I've said before, good horses, you can sort of do whatever you want with them, really. They're just that good, and they get away with things in spite of extenuating circumstances. So I suppose that is a possibility, and that's what we thought. If we get through to the Rosehill Guineas, you either press on to a Derby or you drop back to a Doncaster, but that will mean he's had 4 runs and it's 2 weeks. So it's a timing or a preparation that he's never experienced before. So hopefully he's up for it this time around.
But what about the chosen one? You've bizarrely got the favourite now for the Doncaster, the Derby and the Sydney Cup. When do we see him go around in Australia?
Yeah, at this stage he won't race for another, I think 3 weeks last Saturday. Sky High Stakes at Rosehill, and that'll lead into probably the Tancred and then hopefully the Sydney Cup. So he'll have 2 runs leading into the Sydney Cup.
Andrew, we saw front man who's had an interrupted preparation, a very brave second in the last race, the rating 65 out of Ellerslie. Have you and Murray had any chance to decide whether he'll head to the Derby in 12 days' time? We've
spoken about it. We haven't really locked it in with the owners yet. Probably our gut feeling is it was a very good run, and we were wrapped with how he went, and we could justify a run in the Derby, but we think perhaps with the timing the way it is, we may be better to just keep him ticking over, and he may be even one to head to Sydney and have a crack at the ATC Derby instead.
Andrew, thank you so much for your time this evening. Congratulations with the win of Aegon, and looking forward to seeing him progress on to whatever he does. He's certainly doing the job and doing it well, making it 5 from 5. Well done to you.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Pretty exciting stuff, isn't it? Like when you've got a horse who could win a Derby, I would love to see him go to the Doncaster with a lightweight his dad. 3-year-olds
have such a great record in the Doncaster, and I feel that the mile is him. That's, you see his brilliance. An off-track won't matter. There's so many components could go wrong, and he still is such a good chance.
The way he's improved this year, Emily, and that was, as I said, his easiest career victory. I think he's got them pretty much covered for the Randwick Guineas. If you go to the mile, you would expect him, if he keeps improving, to maybe develop into a Cox Plate horse, which it has become very rarefied here to go to Cox Plates. But look, he's a tremendously exciting horse when you think of all the hype around the Sydney Colts and the fact that he's come out and beat them. Well done to the Zame family, because they had an offer on the table for John Snow 3 or 4 years ago, and it was an offer I would have taken. And they turned it down. I won an ATC Derby and won a JRA Cup. I'm sure they've had offers for this horse.
I know,
And they've turned that down too. So they've said, we love to race horses. They're good, fun people. I'm really happy for them. I'm happy for Andrew and, of course, Murray. But this, more so than most of their stables horses, which feel like a stable horse, this feels like it's Andrew's horse. He bought it. He's got a share in it. And I'm sure he's in charge of most of the preparation. So Very exciting time for him in his career.
Yeah, it sure is. That was just a taster because, of course, Probabeel was successful in the Group 1 Futurity, beating a number of top-line contenders.
In came Probabeel, Ole Kirk up on the fence from Sosi Bond, then Arcadia Queen. Crosshaven joined and headed now by Behemoth and Probabeel. She strikes the mare. Probabeel at the 200. Here's Arcadia Queen, a length and a quarter away. Probabeel a length, Arcadia Queen. Probabeel going well. Probabeel wins it. A half Arcadia Queen. Mr. Quickie third from Behemoth.
What a fantastic win by Probabeel. So dominant. She didn't have the easiest of runs in transit, but she was still just too good for them and ended up getting up to win in the Futurity Stakes. A wonderful effort. Jamie Richards, he joins us on the phone. And Jamie, just adding on to your incredible record, you must be so proud of Probabeel and what she achieved in the Futurity.
Hey guys, hey Mick M. Yeah, fantastic win. Really big thrill to see her do that, especially considering the times that we're in and the quality of field that she beat. So, no, really excited.
Jamie, we talk about it a lot, but you haven't actually been able to spend a whole lot of time with Probabeel this preparation, and the relationship you and Ashley must have, and Ashley's relationship with Probabeel, and the information that's coming back to you. How does it all work? And it must be a very fine line for all of you.
Yeah, it's I guess it's pretty straightforward. I was really pleased that after the Cox Plate, Henry and Brendan and Joe decided to bring her home, and we were able to prepare her for a trial back here before she went over. So that was a big help, sort of getting back in the routine with her and spending every day with her and sort of seeing how it all worked again. As she has changed and she's become stronger and probably more dominant in career best form. So it works really well with Ashley. She's a world-class horsewoman. Attention to detail, second to none. She's a great communicator. Gets a lot of photos and things through. And for such a young lady, she's importantly built some great relationships with the people where she's been staying. And it's a big help when you've got all of those sorts of people on your side that are willing to give you a hand.
Jamie, she looks bigger and stronger than she did even winning an Epsom back in October. Is this the most significant win of her career? Because this is weight for age against a very, very good horse. So now she's said, I can turn up in probably any race in the Southern Hemisphere and be a chance.
Yeah, for sure. I think her racing weight now, Mick, is 520 kilos. So that's a big lump of a mare now. But she's all quality from head to toe. And as you say, I thought that was her biggest test on Saturday. Group 1 weight for age, 1400 against the best that Melbourne could offer up, or the best that Australia could offer up in terms of horses heading towards the All-Star Mile. And got a lot of respect around Arcadia Queen. We saw what she did to Melody Bell and the McKinnon in the spring. And it was a field full of quality. So, couldn't get much better than Saturday.
What's your gut feel, Jamie, on obviously having to move tracks from Caulfield to Moonee Valley for the All-Star Mile? What's your gut feel on Probabeel handling that? We obviously saw her over the 2000 in the Cox Plate, but a different prospect at a mile.
Yeah, I don't see it being a problem for her. She's pretty adaptable, left-handed, right-handed, Melbourne and Sydney. And I guess the best thing about her at the moment and the way that she's going is she's got tactical speed from the barrier. And it's just such a big help of taking a bit of bad luck out of the equation if you can jump and put yourself somewhere handy like that. That was a beautiful ride on Saturday from Damien. I went back and watched the stewards footage today, and even though he's 3 deep, he still had cover the whole way. He's able to sort of tuck him behind a pair of heels and save and conserve energy, and peeled and let her go at the right time. It's a big thrill for everybody, not just for Tiaka, but also for Brendan and Joe and Henry and Waikato Stud. So it's, she's a real New Zealand product, and a lot of the big players involved.
Jamie, we're all tremendously thrilled. It's an exciting time for us as fans. We can only imagine how exciting it is for you. But we need to get down to business. We've got a couple of questions for you relating to markets for people who like to make a quid. If she comes through the All-Star Mile satisfactorily, Do you intend to aim her at the Doncaster?
It's been discussed. It's sort of a race that we'd like to target, but I guess that would be up to the handicapper a little bit as well. And I'm sure that if she came out and won the All-Star Mile, that she could well be back on a plane to New Zealand and coming home saying that the job's been done. They're not machines, they can't go forever. So if it's 3 runs and home or if it's 4 runs and home, we're not really sure just yet, but we'll get through the next 3 weeks and then we can firm it all up.
Jamie, the horse who's starting to look a little bit like Probabeel Mini is Amaralina. We know she is not nominated for the Derby at this stage, but she's the favourite. But you have the option of going to the Oaks and the Sunline Vase. We're watching her winning the Alice Classic, the, shall we say, appropriately named Alice Classic last time out. I know you and David have had a discussion. Have you had the definitive discussion over whether she heads to the Oaks, the Derby, or both?
No, we haven't. I just had a good chat to Dave when he was coming back to the farm this morning. He just wants to think about it for a little bit longer, I guess, whether we're training her for a Derby or whether we're training for a Sunline Vase. Probably the way that we do it doesn't really change too much until Thursday, so I'm envisaging that we'll be letting the owners know in the next couple of days, and then Karen will get something out for the press and we'll go from there, but certainly no firm decision has been made at this stage.
If just, again, for the futures markets, Jamie, because we're trying to look after the punters, I know we don't know whether she's going to a Derby. If she did go to a Derby, win, lose or draw, is she any chance of heading on to the Oaks after that with the 2-week break?
I guess everything's up for discussion. But yeah, I was just sort of just in limbo a little bit while the boss is sort of thinking it through, and he's got a lot on his plate, and we're trying to do the right thing by the horse and the owners and everybody concerned, and he put a lot of thought into it and speak to a lot of different people, and we'll have a chat in the next 24-48 hours.
Jamie, do the good 2-year-olds head to Matamata this week? It's sort of almost a calm before the storm in some regards. Are you taking the good 2-year-olds we saw in the Karaka Million to your home track as a stepping stone to the Sistema?
Yes, we are. On the Bubbles, Avondale and Sort of State will run in the boys' race. They all appear to be in good shape. And we've used this race successfully to head towards Ellerslie in a fortnight. Seems to be a nice path to take. The one who's missing is obviously Sneaky Shark. He's just feeling his shins a little bit. We sort of babied him through towards the Cracker Million and got him there in one piece, but he's just sort of saying to us at the moment that he's not quite ready, so he's in the paddock and probably won't be seen again as a 2-year-old, but we'll just sort of see how it all plays out in the next month for him.
Jamie, thank you so much for coming on the show this evening. We'll leave you in peace now, but a massive congratulations. I heard Jason Richardson on Saturday say that at the same age, Saeed bin Sarur and also Aidan O'Brien were achieving what you're achieving there. Some amazing names in the racing industry, and to have a Kiwi up there with them, very, very proud moment for all of us.
Thanks, guys.
So Jamie obviously got some big decisions, hasn't he? He's got top-line horses, massive decisions to make in a big couple of weeks. And just from my perspective, what a couple of weeks for racing fans, because we've got stars across the Tasman, legitimate stars who are capable of winning some of the biggest races in Australasia. Plus, we've got all this action in New Zealand with the Auckland Carnival coming up as well. It
would be an awfully long time since we've had favourite for the All-Star Mile, which is a $5 million race, but a mile of that size. We've got the favourite for that. We've got the favourite for the Derby, the favourite for the Doncaster, and the favourite for the Sydney Cup. And Amaralina is favourite for the ATC Oaks. That's not here, where there's a bias in the punters. That's in Australia.
I know, yeah.
We have horses now. We're not going to win all those races. That's probably for sure. Amaralina's really interesting for the punters watching this, because you can't back her on the Derby. She's too short. They could potentially go to both. I spoke to David at length last night. It's not impossible to go to both, but probably unlikely. It's like when you're playing blackjack and you get 2 10s. There's a temptation to split them and go for bigger money, or there's temptation to take it and say, I almost can't get beat with 20. I almost can't lose the situation. That's Amaralina's situation right now. If she goes to the Sunline Vars and the Oaks, she will win both of those, all things being equal, and she'll win Filly of the Year. And that's a gimme, to a degree. If she goes to the Oaks, a Derby, she can get beaten, but you win bigger if you do win. And that's the interesting situation they face. So David's a smart guy. I can see cases for both.
Yeah, absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. A big well done to Waikato Stud as well. Both Aegon and Probabeel came through Waikato Stud. So massive congratulations to them with Sacred Falls and Savabeel. Let's move you along to another New Zealand product, and it was a Son of Shocking, and a big Kiwi connection with this one as well. Let's take a little look at Defibrillate winning at Caulfield in race number 1.
Dawson Diva darts back to the inside, and Defibrillate is moving up boldly, and they were followed by Hangman at the 200 metres. San Herberto grabbed by Defibrillate, then Blenheim Palace, Wolf and Hangman. Defibrillate 100 metres to go, about a half length in front, pulling clear from San Herberto, who won't give in, but Defibrillate won at a next San Herberto. Third, Hangman, I'd say.
It was the classic tough Kiwi staying effort from Defibrillate, and settled back, crept into it, and then was just too strong. The ears pinned back for the Son of Shocking Ritual Stud product, and so great ownership group involved, and great to see Graham Richardson's colours flying high as well.
Yeah, it was cool. We don't get to see Richo's colours that often in Australia, and this horse has done a super job for Paddy Payne since he's gone across there. And this is the Mornington Cup prelude. He's going to be one of the favourites for that, and a horse like this can win a stack of money, even knocking around those second level cups in Australia. So well done to him. I think Lance O'Sullivan's got a shoe.
He has. Brendan McCullum's in there as well.
So the boys are having a bit of a roll.
9-time winner, 4 wins in a row. So he's got a really good record. He's putting together a really good record.
Well, and it's a really mature thing to send the horse over there. Horse showed plenty of ability in New Zealand. They said you're better off over there. So well done to everybody involved, and particularly Richo. So yeah, he'd be an interesting horse for us to follow and see where he ends up.
Yeah, a great Saturday for us in Australia. We're going to get you to a break, and then we get into our New Zealand action, where we paint that Derby picture with the Avondale Guineas. Welcome back with us on Weigh In, and as promised we get into Ellerslie, which was of course one of our feature meetings on Saturday here in New Zealand. Let's have a little look at the Avondale Cup as we painted that Derby picture. Rocket Spade put his name right in contention.
To last, and the leaders now, we've got Jason Beltry from on the outside on display. Illafar works round on the outside, then followed further back in the field next to Rocket Spade. Looks to get a move along now as they head for home at the 300 metres. On display took over. Here's Rocket Spade and Illafar coming after it with Jason Beltry. Further back, Milford is running on as well at the 200. On display, tackled by Rocket Spade. He ranged up on the outside. Milford's arriving late, and Jason Beltry's kicking again. Rocket Spade on display, and also Jason Beltry, but Rocket Spade will get there from Jason Beltry. On display, third, fourth over, Lord Ardmore, and right with him also was Milford.
Well, job done. You've won the Avondale Guineas. On to the Derby. What did you make of it as a Derby trial?
Well, we were pretty pleased with his performance and the result, obviously. Look, he's still got a long way to come with his settling. Like he sort of raced a touch ungenerous, but it was a funny race where it was, they're off and on the pedal a wee bit, and he sort of never got a chance to find rhythm. And then another one's whipped around, and then but he showed a good turn of foot from about the 600 to the 200, and then he gutsed it out the last bit, which was dour, which he needs to be.
Rocket Spade, a fantastic job to win, and I think, Michael, he profiles as a horse who just looks like a real Derby contender. The Fastnet Rock aspect, the way that he's that little bit more dour, and he gets up over the top of them. I'm looking forward to seeing him at the 2-4. Obviously a drama-filled Avondale Guineas with Sam Weatherly falling in the race, and the loose horse certainly added a bit of complexity.
Yeah, that's the second time in a row. We had something similar happen on the Karaka Classic Mile as well, with the horse getting loose. I spoke to Sam Weatherly afterwards. He was a bit sore hip and shoulder, but he was walking around unassisted. So hopefully Sam gets over his bruises pretty quickly. I don't think it was a scary Avondale Guineas from the point of view of the Derby horses, so a Takarangi or an Amaralina or horses like Montre Moi could look to head there and think, okay, well, I didn't see anything there that would scare me. But I think Rocket Spade's getting better. I think they've had to take the the pressure off him a little bit, and so he didn't overheat so much, and make him a bit more dour, and he raced quite dour there. I thought the second horse was really good. Jason Beltry, sort of weird to think that a Felix is going to go to the Derby and be a really good chance, but I thought there was 5 or 6, Milford will improve, I think there was 5 or 6 horses there who were really good and would be chances in the Derby. Obviously, for most people, the Derby
waiting
market
to see what happens.
comes around Emerald, and you heard that just minutes ago, so you can't get any more up to date than that. Frontman Andrew sounded unlikely to go.
Unlikely, yep.
Montre Noir is really interesting because he took a lot of ground off Amaralina in the Classic Mile, and he was running on like a Derby horse in the Waikato Guineas. Now, you can actually buy a share in Montre Noir, a 2% share. The owners have been very generous in putting the share up for the day, so you can buy a share from him in the day, and all the proceeds from that. It's on Gavel House now. Go to Lifeline Aotearoa, and if it wins, you get 10 grand, and you also get to be part of being the owner for the day and talk to the trainer and the jockey and get a table for 4 in the cuvee donated by Ellerslie. So well done to everybody involved there, and that money goes to Lifeline. If you want to up your Derby experience, and here's something you may not have thought of, Cuvée sold out. You can't go to Cuvée now unless you have tickets, unless you
get
buy
involved
the 2%
in Montre Noir, yeah.
That's on Gavel House. That's available for you now if you want to get involved in that. Amaralina has been all the talk, Ian, but the other talk is also Takarangi, so we caught up with co-trainer Pam Gerard.
Well, Pam, you've had the chance to watch the Avondale Guineas, and Takarangi's nice and safe and sound in her box back at home. Do you think she'll be here in the Derby in a week and a half?
It's still a question that we're debating over. So obviously it works travel-wise to get to Sydney. Obviously, there are a few connections we need to discuss with. I can say I'm very happy with her. She's improved off that run. She's put on weight. She's certainly a filly that is just getting better and better. And I think when you get to Australia, she's even going to be better. So I'm not worried about having to go at the Derby. She will either be good enough or she won't be. I'm just happy with the condition that the horse is in, and I think it speaks for itself on how she's running out the 2,000 metres that she'll get the trip.
Yeah, really excited to see her step up to the 2-4, and she just ate up that last run, and you could see she was crying out for the 2,000, and it's going to be exciting to see what she can do when she gets up to the 2-4. Moving things along to one of the other features on the day, and it was the Avondale Cup. Robusto took a narrow gap up the rail to get the win.
Daytona Red as they swing for home, and back near the tail is Lincoln King and Hurricane. 350 to go. Stars are ranged up to take the lead. Sound coming after it for Motion Billy. Further out, Just a Maze, and behind these next then is In a Twinkling, and then further away to Vito Rosso at the 200 metres. Stars are tackled by Sound, and now Robusto right through on the inside. Sound trying to keep it out. Sound and Robusto. Robusto got the lead short of the post. Robusto beats Sound. Photos for third. Stars are. What about Hurricane? Where did he come from? He's right in this photo, and right with him Platinum Invader.
Well, this is getting a little bit embarrassing now, Sam, because everybody's been yelling out, "You're the Cup's Queen, you're the Cup's Queen." It's a nice problem to have.
It is. To be fair, throughout my career, it's probably something that I've not been working towards, but, you have to be quite patient and, really assess what's happening. And I have been, trying to fine-tune a few things, and it's nice that it's paying off.
What sort of things? So you're trying to become a better rider?
100%.
How?
Yeah. Just being more aware of what's happening around me, obviously doing form, which is something we all do standard, but just being really alert during the whole race. You can fall asleep for half a second and something happens, you miss the boat. So just trying to be more aware of the tempo, my position mid-race, what's happening in front of me, where I am, all that kind of stuff that sort of goes into effect. Also how my horse is travelling, like what gas I've spent, what gas I need to spend to get there, so that kind of stuff.
That was a very unusual race because you had to punch out of the gate and you had to go get forward, but then you took a sit and then she sprinted again. That was an unusual staying performance.
And it was, especially off the back of a 2-mile run last start, where she obviously didn't see the trip out. But, Murray and Andrew, they have them so spot on, and her form has been so consistent, and she really deserved it. When she puts herself in a spot where she can be competitive, 52 kilos makes the job probably a bit easier for her. She's only a small mare. But I've only got 6 horses in front of me when I've, managed to work across from there on the outside gate. But she does it comfortably, but she's fit enough to do it. So it's a sort of a real team effort, especially from Murray and Andrew.
Is she your ride for the Auckland Cup?
I would say so. I hope so.
It'd be amazing to win 3 Auckland Cups in a row.
I definitely have bragging rights, I think, over Dad for that.
Oh, Sam Collett, she's always so open with her time, isn't she? Great to catch up with her following the win of Robusto. There were so many Black Book runs in behind, and one of those key chances in behind Robusto was Sound, who jumped the ditch from Australia and had a prep run for the Auckland Cup.
Well, Pam, you'd have to be pretty happy with Sound.
Yep, very happy. Had a good blow. You'll take a lot of improvement out of that. He was out on his feet the last little bit. But yeah, really happy.
Do you think he'll be even better over the extra 800 metres?
I'd say, yeah. Yeah, that's his, he's been running that distance. This is only his second run back, so you'd expect some improvement. Obviously, he's travelled over, loving a little bit of paddock time. So yeah, we'll just got to keep the work right up to him, get him hard fit, but I don't think 2 miles is going to be a problem against some of these.
Lovely horse, isn't he, Sound? And he's shown his worth across the ditch and looks like he's spot on, ready for an Auckland Cup. Let's have a little look at that Auckland Cup market because, as we said, a number of Black Bookers in behind those front two. Hurricane was so impressive, but that's just one I could name. There was any number of horses that were making up a stack of ground late.
I've got absolutely no idea who's going to win this race. It could depend on rain, barrier draws, a whole bunch of stuff. Tempo, obviously. I know one thing, you can't possibly back Sound at $3.20. That's ludicrous. That's just stupid. Because there's going to be 18 horses in the field and there's going to be 10 winning chances. So maybe they need to turn the tap on. It was backed early, and when that market transfers from futures to final field, he'll go back out again. So just don't back him at $3.20. He will absolutely, certainly go back out again. Amazing horse, Robusto.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no glamour about Robusto at all. Yet, I reckon by the time it's raced in the Auckland Cup, it would have run a half marathon at race speed this year. Literally.
Yes,
actually, add those numbers up.
Yeah.
She would have raced in
New Zealand Cup,
three 3,000
Wellington
foot
Cup.
races, which is 9.6 kilometres. She raced in a Met Drop, there's another 2.5k. She's had a couple of other 2,000 metre races along the way. By the time she gets there, she might have run, over the course of her season so far, a half marathon, which is 21,000 metres. She'll be getting close to it. She's an amazing horse and she just keeps on giving. So the Sam Collett story is kind of cute. I'm going to ask her to come on the show next week. So hopefully we can drag Sam here next week so we can learn more about her and the progression of her career because she's riding so well.
She is, and she's such a hard worker too. She really, puts the work in, the effort in, and good to see her getting the results. Of course, Levante is another key ride for her in that upcoming carnival. A well-deserved winner on Saturday was Just a Canter, who brought previous race day form to Ellerslie and made it a win.
And Hypnosis last as they swing for home. 400 metres to go. Popstar Princess, Dawn Patrol, Packing Rockstar loomed up on the outside. Then Princess Rihanna, 2 lengths away next. Just a Canter down the outside. Cavallo Veloce and New York Jazz is coming after them as well. Packing Rockstar under siege now. Out wide coming after it is Just a Canter, and also there as well New York Jazz. Just a Canter has got up. Boy, that's been a run. 3 wide the trip. That'll win it all right. Just a Canter from Packing Rockstar, and right there also was New York Jazz.
Well, that makes up for a pretty luckless sort of summer so far.
Yeah, that's right, Mick. It's haven't had a lot of luck. Had a lot of seconds this year, so it's nice to get one up today, yeah, that's for sure.
Great story. I didn't know till today you paid this $6,000 for this horse on Cavill House.
Yeah, that's right. A syndicate that bought him for $6,000, and yeah, they've had a good reward with him. He's been a great little honest horse for them.
Are you a Gavel House surfer? Do you get on there and check him out from time to time?
No, I'm definitely not, but I've got a couple of owners. One, Terry Lyons, he's a great Gavel House man, and I pull my hair out sometimes, but you get the odd little gem out of it, yeah.
All right, King's Plate next up here, I suppose?
Yeah, that's probably what we're targeting, so yeah, we'll just see how the horse pulls up and see what happens, but he's going to be getting a little bit more weight now as well, but yeah, that looks like that'll be where we're heading.
Has he got to be a horse now who deserves his place in telegraphs or particularly railways here because he loves Ellerslie, so next season you can map out a Group 1 program with him?
Yeah, well, he's going to go up in the weights a little bit now. Obviously, this year we thought he was a chance in the railway, and he ran the second fastest 600 behind Levante. He still finished 8th. He's just a horse that doesn't... he causes a lot of bad luck himself when he gets back, and he's got no early speed. But he's got a devastating finish, and he can run some really good sectionals. And his run in the Concord was superb as well. So yeah, he'll go up the weights, but you know, we'll just see. He keeps on putting his best foot forward, loves Ellerslie, so yeah, we'll just keep going.
He's quite an underrated horse, isn't he, Justicanter? But good to see Justicanter getting the win and cementing once again Entrevier's form. And it's good to see horses like this getting those victories on big days. And I think he just flies under the radar. There's some of those flagship horses, but still does the job and obviously has a huge amount of ability.
6,000 on Gavel House too. When you buy a horse for 6,000, you hope to win a couple of races. You don't probably think you've got a chance in the King's Plate. It's got to be a strong King's Plate. Really good race. That's on the first day of the carnival, so 12 days from now if you're watching this on Monday night. So really strong. We heard mentioning earlier about Sam Collett. It'll be interesting to see where Levante turns up to next. So we'll ring King Kelso and find out about that during the week, because I would presume she'll probably head to the carnival somewhere there. So yeah, there's going to be some really good races away from the Derby and the Cup. There's some really strong I know the Sistema is going to be good, and so is the Bone Crusher, but away from the Group 1s, there's going to be some pretty hot races there, including a horse we're about to see next in Babylon Berlin. She'll be heading to the Mufasa, and I'm not sure if you caught the first race, I'm not sure if you were working at that stage, but man, she was so good the other day. She was absolutely super, jumping to the lead. And she ran, we just saw Justicanter win. She runs almost exactly the same time in watching this. Almost exactly the same time. And she's jogging.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like same 1,200 metre time plus the same last 600. It was like 1/10 of a second different. So she's not going to need to improve.
She's been coming to this though, hasn't she?
She
Babylon. You know, this is sort of what I've been expecting, and we're here. She's obviously reached her peak and is able to progress on from here. Another exciting horse for Sam Collett.
Well, she's got that Mufasa, the 3-year-old race coming up against Need I Say More on the 6th again, so the first day of the carnival. But she's not going to need to improve an enormous amount to be at least a chance in those good sprint races next season. If they want to go that way with her, I'm not sure what Ben had planned. I couldn't get hold of him today. But her times are comparable with the horses who are running in Concords and that sort of stuff already.
Yeah, that gives you confidence, doesn't it? So we head down south now, all the way to Invercargill for the Southland Guineas. Chiquito successful in this one.
Back out as they run the turn. Chiquito goes for home, joined by the gift. Street Fighter Man, Milford Sound gone with the wind threading through. They're across the track. Chiquito, Milford Sound the inside. Street Fighter Man gone with the wind, rushing late. Still Chiquito, digging deep, finding plenty. It's Chiquito's Guineas. Chiquito clung on and scored to beat Milford Sound.
Pinned the ears back and got the job done. Chiquito in the Southland Guineas. And Michael, you've got a pretty funny story around Chiquito, I understand?
Well, Justicanter cost 6,000 on Gavel House. Chiquito cost 1,700, and that included her mum. So
Lord.
She's out of a mare called Pretty Woman. So Warwick Coles trains the horse with his dad, Mel. Spoke to both the Coleses today, and congratulations, guys. They were absolutely buzzing. So Warwick loves Gavel House. He gets on there and buys the mare, Pretty Woman, for $1,700. So he gets the foal for free.
Yeah.
So the Vespa Chiquito turns up at home. That's all good as gold. He puts the mare back into training because she was only 4 or 5, but she was gone in the wind, so he then on-sold her to somebody else. The horse goes up to Canterbury, ends up in Canterbury with some young lady he doesn't know, and she rings him and says, I think this horse is in foal. And as it turns out, she was in foal to Alamosa, but he sold her not knowing she was in foal.
Oh, goodness me.
So now she's foaled down on Alamosa, colt or filly, and she's gone to Water Cree. So talk about Gavel House and $1,700 and everybody getting a bit of joy out of it.
That was 3 for 1. That was a 3 for 1 deal.
Basically, it was, and the lady who bought the horse got a free Alamosa.
Yeah.
So,
and now you've got a stakes-winning progeny as well.
Well, bizarrely, then, so Warwick at the end of her 2-year-old season, because Chiquito won 3 races at 2. Now, there wouldn't have been many South Island fillies win 3 2-year-old races. It doesn't happen very often. One of them was a 2 and 3-year-old race because it was after COVID. He actually put her online. He put her up for sale, and he didn't get enough money for her. And he said to me today, he said, well, now so I've got a listed winner.
I know.
I'm going to need to go to one of those big stallions up north and get involved and do something with this horse. So she won't be heading to the longer races of the Southern Filly of the Year series, because obviously the fillies have won all the guineas down there at this stage. He said she'll go to Dunedin for a 1,400, but probably won't extend out to 1,600, reckon. But it's a great story about what Gavel House provides people with, that the option to go buy horses for not huge money, and they turn into these type of stories, or in this case, 3 stories.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, wonderful stuff. All right, let's update you around the Jockey and Trainers Premierships brought to us by the Waikato Equine Veterinary Centre. Danielle Johnson, the clear standout with 124 wins this season, 13 of those group enlisted. Now, Craig Grill's having a great season as well, 53 for 8 group enlisted. Sam Collett on the same, 53 for 7. $2.8 million in stakes for our Jockeys Premiership leader, Danielle Johnson. Trainers Premiership, Jamie Richards, the head of that, 114 wins, 24 group enlisted. Unbelievable season he's having with a $4.2 million in prize money, a little over that. In behind him, Stephen Marsh, Alan Sherrick, the Pitmans, and then Baker Forsman. So there's your update around the Jockeys and Trainers Premiership. We now take it international as we have a little look at Golden 60, who was successful in a Group 1 in Hong Kong. Pretty sure making it, Michael, 13 yep. in a row. Yeah.
13 on This is him on the outside. And look, it was a bit of a battle. But he's a hell of a horse, and when you talk to people in Hong Kong, they're never not sure if they are the best milers in the world or not the best milers in the world. Depends who you argue with. But he was bred in Australia, sold there originally, sold here again for the Magic Millions, and I think everybody's got a piece of him, so everybody's pretty happy.
Yeah, exactly. I think Riversley Park consigned him through the Ready to Run sale. Yeah, beautiful type if you go back and look at him on the NZB website. We'll get you to another break here on Weigh In, and then on the back of that, we get into catching up with Danielle Johnson around her 1,000th winner.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Well, you're part of the 1,000 win club. Was it more of a relief than excitement when you hit the line?
Yeah, and I think especially doing it in the first race, it was probably more of a relief. You know, of course it's going to happen at some point, but whether it was at Tiaraha or Ellerslie today, but it was quite fitting. The TV crew went out to Mum and Dad's place, and we're on the farm with him for the first race, so it would have been a long day for them and him if I didn't get in the first one.
The gap between 900 and 1,000 wasn't very long. It happened pretty quickly.
It did happen, and when my 900th come up, I was sort of, you know, cool, that's great to get it done so quickly, you know, and get my first 100 this season, and then I just thought, you know, maybe 1,000 next season, but it all fell into place, and I've been able to tick a few boxes this season, so it's been great.
Let's talk about ticking boxes. You're being paid out on to win the Jockeys Premiership. It's not quite that easy. How do you keep the daily focus or the weekly focus of just riding and riding as well as you can without getting tired or thinking about all the other things going on and winning a premiership?
You sort of just need to have that out of your head for the meantime until getting towards the end of the season. I'm pretty lucky. I'm a pretty relaxed person. I come and take my job seriously on race days, but I'm able to relax and, you know, go hang out with friends on, you know, my days off and things like that. So it's not all stress the whole time, and I probably should worry about things a bit more, but I definitely don't.
Often in the past, for someone to win the premiership, they've had to jump on a lot of planes and go to the South Islands and do that sort of stuff. You probably don't have to do that. I take it you're not going to be stretching yourself that far because so far you're so far in front.
Yeah, and we had a structure this season and it was the same as what James McDonald did when he won the premiership. Go hard early, and, you know, hopefully that you can have a little break, you know, the last 2 months of the season, which is probably the approach that I've taken. And I've been lucky enough that I was able to get on the Te Akau horses down south and everyone else's horses that, you know, produced me with so many winners. So we got the break on the, you know, other jockeys early, and, you know, it's probably a little bit more relaxing now.
Is it unusual to think that for a lot of people in the country, you're now the go-to jockey? I mean, I think a lot of people probably think Opie might be the best Group 1 jockey in the country, but if people are saying, we want to go to this race, it'd be great if we can get Danielle. Is that an unusual headspace to be in?
Yeah, it's great, and I suppose I've always had a lot of followers, so, you know, I've never really come to the races and been too short on rides, but being at the top of the table, I think it definitely opens doors, and you start riding for the better stables and getting on the better horses in Group 1 races. And I'm probably lucky, you know, unlike a few of the boys, that they can't ride as light as me, so I can get on the 54s and 53s and 52s like I'm riding today. So I'm pretty fortunate in that sense that my parents are small, and I've definitely bred to them.
Let's talk about your parents. Obviously your dad's in the 1,000 winning club. I suppose all going well in a couple of years, maybe 3 years, you might go past him.
Well, that'd be nice, and I'll have one up on him because he's won a lot more Group 1s than me, that's for sure. But they were so happy, and I suppose that's mainly my aim, is to keep my parents happy in life, and you know, whoever else wants to follow me, that's a bonus.
You mentioned Group 1s, they're hard to come by. Once you've won a premiership, which we think you probably will, and we'll try not to mock you by saying that, will Group 1s become the new focus? Is that the new goal for next year?
Absolutely, and I always said leading into the season I want to win the premiership this year, but I don't want to be the jockey that's had 1,000 rides, a strike rate of 15 and no Group 1s, and you know, a small total of listed and group races under my name. So that's where I have, you know, ticked so many boxes that I've been able to achieve everything that I've wanted to this season. And next season definitely a focus on even trying to get over to some jockeys challenges if the world and COVID allows us to do that. So any Group 1's great, and I think that's what all jockeys strive to win.
Are you riding better? Are you more focused, or are you actually riding better or seeing it better? Or have you always been this good and now you're just getting on better horses?
Oh, I don't know. Am I meant to be diplomatic here? No.
No, tell the truth.
I think good horses open up opportunities. Good horses get you thinking well, get you more focused, ride with confidence. You know, you're not second guessing yourself out there, and you can't second guess yourself if you're on a fast horse because you're going so quick through the gap. So, you know, I think whether I am riding better or not, I know I'm definitely getting on better horses, and, you know, probably my lifestyle has changed in many of ways as well, and everything's just fell together this season.
What about your riding style? We often see riders, as they get older, they maybe start riding in different styles. They sometimes use the whip a bit less. They might go to pushing a horse out more with their hands in a close finish. Has your riding style changed for those of us who aren't jockeys, so therefore can't pick up on it?
I don't think so. I've never been a big whip rider, which is unlike my father, because he was one of the strongest whip riders, and you know, times have definitely changed that you can't use the whip as much as what they did back in that day. But I don't think I've got the prettiest style by any means, and but obviously it's effective enough to win me as many races as I've won. So I don't think it's changed. Yeah, I just go out there, and some horses make you feel different, and I've been in trouble a few times for probably not pushing my horse out hard enough by Jamie and things like that. But no, I think I'm you know, stay pretty much the same.
Well done to Danielle on that massive achievement of the 1,000 winners, and I'm sure that's just the tip of the iceberg of what she can achieve during her career. Let's move along to John Bell, who caught up with us about his stable star in Julius.
Well, John, the other day you had a chat with your old mate Julius, and what did he tell you?
Yeah, after the race on the Monday I went down and had a chat with him. He bowled straight up to me, looked me in the eye and says, I'm done. So he's 9-year-old, he's nothing more to prove.
How does a horse tell you he's done? Do you just know after seeing him every day for the last so many years?
Well, on the turn at Tirapa, Craig Grulls will tell you the same thing. I got a bit excited. I sort of stood up and thought, we're going to get a bit of this. We might get quite a bit of it. And he changed stride, his head came up, he changed stride. He's pulled up brilliantly, he hasn't left a note, he's just so happy in himself. But, you know, for him to do that, and Craig even reiterating that he felt magic on that turn and nothing. So it's time, and, you know, just had a good look at him and said, no, there you go. You know, so it's a few sad days for the team. So a lot of, you know, my team have put a wonderful amount of effort into him to keep him going, keep him sound. The little extra bits that went into him. You know, he wasn't. You know, I mean, he'd squash you against the wall, you know, in the tie-ups, or he'd look down and tread on your foot, or he'd bong you on the head. You know, he was just. You gave him a wide berth, but he wasn't nasty at all. He was just making sure that people respected him.
A special time here about 14 months ago when he won the Railway. It took a lot of planning to get him to the race, and he got the job done. That must have been an incredibly satisfying day for you, and in the months afterwards.
It was, you know, every time you sort of say anything about him or talk about him, you know, the hair stands up on the back of my neck. And, you know, Jason had, you know, in the lead up to that race, and all the staff and all the, you know, the guys that worked with me, they, you know, we knew that he was going forward every single day. He was going forward and felt so well. And just with Jason's magic ride, you know, what was his expression? He's just the original gangster, and you know, he just played with them, and you know, so you know, what could have been? You know, he was retired because he had broken down, and you know, he was terrorising cattle and sheep out on the sheep station, and so we bring him back in, and we got the job done, you know, with vets and so on, and all those people, anybody that's had any part of him over the years, you know, I'd like to thank them. They stuck by him, and you know, we had a few anxious moments, but he came to the party and loved every minute of it.
How does the big fella spend his remaining years here on Earth? Is he going to be back terrorising sheep on the sheep station?
Well, that's the worry. You know, we could put him out there, but you know, it'd be more trouble shifting him around the farm. So he'll come out to my Matangi place for a while, and then just till things settle and we drop a bit of feed out of him, and then sort of look to. I'd love him to go as a nanny, because he'd never kick or anything like that, but he would be a great father figure for some colts on a stud, you know.
So if someone's got a home there, John, and they're happy to have a railway winner there and look after him for the remainder of his days, they should give you a call?
Well, definitely. You know, I've spoken to several studs, and you know, with owners going and checking their you know, the yearling colts, you know, clients of the stud. You know, what is that? He's the nursemaid, and who is it? Julius. Well, everybody knows him. He's got an amazing following, and people ringing and texting and emailing just to ask how he is. You know, it's really satisfying, heartwarming that you know, he's got such a following and been such a success.
He's got so much presence, Julius. When you see him, when I used to ride upside him for the interviews, he is a monster. Like, he's just such a big, imposing horse. So don't think any of those young colts would mess with him, because he'd give them a shoulder and they'd be knocked over.
A bit too big for you to take home and turn into a show horse?
I think Opie would have something to say about some thoroughbreds arriving in the paddock at home.
He's so he's been retired, obviously. That's what that interview was all about. And look, he did a super job.
Yeah.
I mean, he was, you know, second in the railway this year, won the railway last year, and the other bit of news coming out of the weekend too, we didn't get a chance to show you. Roger James said Concert Hall's tickety-boo. She's all good after her very bizarre incident at Taranaki.
Yeah.
She's good. She's heading to Matamata this week for a 1400, and then they hope to head to Sydney on the back end of that. So obviously no Australian Cup, no Melbourne for her, but heading to Sydney. So good news is one of our Group 1 winners, well, one's being retired, one is good to go.
Yep, good news. Well, it's been a pleasure to have your company on Weigh In tonight. We hope you've enjoyed all the information we've been able to bring you, and we look forward to joining you next week, same time, 8 p.m. on Monday.